coming out tonight to have a serious discussion about the serious issues affecting our country. You know, in recent weeks, we've had great turnouts all over this country. We had some 10,000 people coming out in Madison. We had crowds in Minneapolis, in Denver, all throughout Iowa, in New Hampshire. And look at this turnout here tonight in Portland. Sometimes the media people ask me, they say, well, you know, Bernie, why are so many people coming out to your events? Why have hundreds of thousands of people in every state in this country volunteered to play a role in the campaign? Why have 250,000 people made small donations to the campaign? Why are grassroots organizations popping up all over America? And you're right, Bernie, you're right! Is, I think, pretty obvious. From Maine to California, we have friends in Alaska and Hawaii as well. The American people understand that establishment politics and establishment economics is not working for the middle class. That the greed of Wall Street and the greed of corporate America is destroying the great middle class of this country. And people are saying from coast to coast, you can't keep getting away with that. That in this great democracy, the longest democracy in American history, that it is not acceptable that a handful of billionaires are now controlling our political process. And they also understand that the time is overdue for the corporate media to start talking about the real issues impacting the American people. In other words, all over America, people are becoming involved in this campaign because they want change, real change, and that is what this campaign is about. And let me take this opportunity to say a word about what real change is about. I think many of you remember that the great American abolitionist Frederick Douglass made the point that freedom is never given to us. We have to fight for it. We have to struggle for it. And if you look at the history of America, whether it is workers standing up and fighting for their rights and joining unions, that's the way change comes. And when we had an apartheid system in this country, African Americans stood up and said enough is enough. They joined with their white allies. We broke down the walls of segregation and racism. And when millions of people demanded it, we had a president of the United States who signed a Voting Rights Act. But the energy, the drive did not come from on top. It came from the grassroots. And when you think about the struggle over the decades and centuries of women fighting for their rights, think about the suffragettes, women who fought, went to jail, sometimes died, to say that in America, women will not be second-class citizens. And more recently, we have seen another profound revolution in political consciousness, and that is gay people said enough is enough. We will not be intimidated, we will not be discriminated against, and their straight allies stood with them, and last week the Supreme Court did the right thing. My point is a simple one, is that if we want real change, it's not just electing someone, hopefully me, but it's more than that. And let me tell you right now, what no other candidate will tell you, and that is that no one who is elected President of the United States can do it alone. No one in the White House will have the power to take on Wall Street alone, corporate America alone, the billionaire class alone. The only way that change takes place is when we develop that strong grassroots movement, make that political revolution, stand together, and then we bring about change. And when the people start moving, then the people on top start listening. Let me just give you a few, very few examples. Over the last couple of years, almost all of my Republican colleagues in Congress have said, we have got to cut Social Security. But then a funny thing happened. Some of us in Congress, but more importantly, senior groups, trade union groups, veterans groups began to stand up and say, you know what? You're not going to cut Social Security when people can't make it on $12,000 or $13,000 a year. You're not going to cut benefits for disabled veterans. You're not going to do that. What you are going to do is expand Social Security benefits. And because of all of that grassroots work, there was a poll came out, Wall Street Journal poll last week, and you know what it said? It said that by a 3-to-1 margin, the American people now believe we should expand Social Security benefits by lifting the cap of taxability. That's how change comes about. Let me give you another example. 3 or 4 years ago, people in the trade union movement started organizing low-wage fast food workers. And what these workers went out on the street saying is they say, we can't make it on $7.25 an hour. And I had the pleasure and the privilege of going out on some demonstrations with these very, very brave people. 3 years, 4 years come and gone, and you have state after state, city after city, and I understand that Portland is working on raising minimum wage. And here's what's interesting. In Congress, raise the minimum wage to 10 cents an hour. But you know what the American people say? 10 cents ain't enough. They want $15 an hour. So that is what happens when millions of people, whether it's seniors fighting for expanding Social Security, low-wage workers fighting to raise the minimum wage, the gay community fighting to make sure that gay marriage exists in 50 states in this country. When people stand together, there is nothing we cannot accomplish. What this campaign is about. It is not about me, it is about you. It is about not only winning elections, it is about transforming America. When we talk about the serious issues facing this country, at the top of my list is the disgrace that in our country today we have more income and wealth inequality than any other major industrialized nation on earth. And brothers and sisters, together we are going to end that disgrace. Now the truth is that America today is the wealthiest country in the history of the world. But most people don't know that. Most people don't feel that. Most people don't see that, because almost all of the wealth rests in the hands of a tiny few. The issue of wealth and income inequality, to my mind, is the great moral issue of our time. It is a great economic issue of our time, and it's a great political issue of our time. Can be. There is something profoundly wrong when the top 0.1% own almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. There is something profoundly wrong when most of the new income is going to the top 1%. There is something profoundly wrong when we are seeing a proliferation of millionaires and billionaires at the same time as millions of Americans are working longer hours for lower wages, and we have the highest rate of childhood poverty of any major country. There is something profoundly wrong when one family, the owners of Walmart, own more wealth than the bottom 130 million Americans. This grotesque level of income and wealth inequality is immoral, it is bad economics, it is unsustainable, and it is not what the United States of America is supposed to be about. And let me not equivocate. Let me be as clear as I can be, because we are going to send a message to the billionaire class, and that message is, you can't have it all. You can't get huge tax breaks when children in America go hungry. You cannot continue sending our jobs to China when millions of people in this country desperately need work. Your billions in profits in the Cayman Islands and other tax havens while we have massive unmet needs in this country. And our message to the billionaire class is, your greed has got to end, and we are going to end it for you. Cannot take advantage of all of the benefits of America if they refuse to accept their responsibilities as Americans. When we talk about our economy, it is not only the horrific level of income and wealth inequality, it is the tragic reality that for the last 40 years, the great middle class of our country, the middle class that was once the envy of the entire world, has been disappearing. Despite exploding technology and increased worker productivity, median family income today is almost $5,000 less than it was in 1999. In the state of Vermont, in the state of Maine, and all over America, we have working people who are working not just one job, but 2 jobs, 3 jobs, just to cobble together an income in order to survive and to get some health care. That is not the economy that we need. About the economy, we also have to have an honest assessment of unemployment in America. Now, once a month, the government publishes a set of figures. And the last figures they published said that official unemployment was 5.4%. But there is another set of government statistics. And that says that real unemployment, if you include those people who have given up looking for work and the millions of others who are working part-time, 20, 25 hours a week, when they want to work full-time, if you add all of that together, real unemployment is 10.5%. But let me tell you something that is even more frightening, and is an issue that we do not talk about at all. and that is the tragedy in this country of youth unemployment. And I don't care if nobody else talks about this issue, we will talk about this issue. And here's why. For young people who have graduated high school or dropped out of high school, who are between the ages of 17 and 20, if they happen to be white, unemployment rate is 33%. If they are Hispanic, unemployment rate is 36%. If they are African American, real unemployment rate for young people is 51%. In other words, what we are doing is turning our backs on an entire generation of young people who want to get a job, they want to earn some income, they want to get out of their homes, they want to become independent, and we are not allowing them to do that. And if you do not believe that there is a correlation between high youth unemployment and the fact that this country has more people in jail than any other country on earth, you will be wrong. That in this great nation, we have more people in jail than the communist authoritarian country of China, which has over 3 times our population. And in my view, and I feel this very, very strongly, instead of locking up our young people, maybe it's time we found jobs for them and education for them. Maybe it's time we began to rethink the so-called war on drugs. And when we talk about our economy, we're talking about income and wealth inequality, we're talking about rates of unemployment that are much too high, but there is another reality that we've got to address, and that is that millions of Americans today are working at wages far, far too low for them to sustain a family. I recently talked to a guy who works with a church group who collects food to bring to an emergency food shelf. And what he told me, I asked him, well, tell me, what percentage of the people who go to the emergency food shelf are working people? And he said 90% of them are working. In other words, what we see all over America is that people are working 40 or 50 hours a week, but they are not earning enough money to provide adequately for their families. What we have got to recognize is that the federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour is totally inadequate. It is a starvation wage. We've got to raise the minimum wage to a living wage. Last month, the City Council in Los Angeles raised the minimum wage there to $15 an hour. And that is exactly what we have to do in Washington. It is not a radical idea to to say that in America, somebody who works 40 hours a week should not be living in poverty. And a living wage should not only be fair, it should be equitable. There is no excuse today for women earning 78 cents on the dollar for overtime. We need pay equity for women workers, and when we do that, we take a big chunk out of poverty in this country. Some of you